We will call this September 25th Commission meeting to order. Commissioner Fishback, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hannah isn't here to take her picture of this.
I can take one of myself. Rachel?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Just kidding.
The first item on our agenda is the ordinance 123. It's the McIntyre rezone. We have the second reading and possible adoption. I would entertain a motion to...
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Kipley, to second reading and the adoption of the McIntyre rezone. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That will be a roll call in
Okay.
a minute.
You want to see if Shannon's going to show up and see what
I'll
we
take
gather?
it. You go ahead.
Okay.
One of us can
take it.
Next item on our agenda, we have some years of service for
You guys gonna work in here?
for many years of service. First, we have Patty Van Meter. Up forward, please. 25 years of service with Brown County.
Look at me. Take your time, guys. Just
Whoop.
step in there with
There
there.
you go.
1, 2, 3. Got it.
Okay. Next, we have Doreen Borchard with 35 years of service
All right.
with Brown County. Thank you, Doreen.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Ready? 1, 2,
And thanks for real.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Morning.
Next, we got a little break in between. You want to go through a few of your things?
Minutes from September 18.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Fishback, second by Sutton, to approve the minutes for September 18th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Claims.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Hanson, to approve claims. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
HR report. Move. Second.
Moved by Kipley, second by Hanson, to approve the HR report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Many years ago, for the financial assurance for the landfill with DENR, we had a savings account which they were co-signers on. Through the years, that with the bank turnover and that, it kind of got lost in the shuffle. And so last year you passed resolutions authorizing DENR to be co-signer on the actual CD. So we need to close this savings account out, and so that the money isn't in investments but just in the cash of the landfill.
Move it.
Second. Moved by Sutton, second by Fishback, to approve the state and local agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
There was an email from Secretary of State's office in the packet about whether auditors' offices could be open on Saturdays for early voting, and the recommendation was to check with your state's attorney. I visited with Chris, and he saw no problem with it. I'd like permission to be open October 20th. I believe that's the first day of pheasant season. And then the 27th from 9 to noon for early voting, and that would be overtime, and I do have that in the election budget. The reason we do it on the first day of pheasant season is if those college kids come home, they can't go hunt until noon, but they could stop up here on their way out to their place.
How many do we usually have that come in on Saturdays? Do you have a
We've
count?
had, different Secretary of States have different thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm.
In the 2016 election cycle, they didn't let us. They thought, well, if one auditor does it, they have to do it statewide. But then they changed their mind and are letting the auditors that do have the staff in to do it. But when we did it in 2014, we had anywhere from 25 to 50. I can't remember the exact number.
And how many people work?
We always have last-minute election stuff to get ready. And, okay, we've had 63 people Friday and yesterday. That takes away from their regular duties, waiting on those people. So those Saturday mornings are really handy to catch up your work, since you've been waiting on the public.
So how many people volunteer?
All of them.
All of them?
Except Logan.
And it's overtime?
Yes.
Do we need 2 Saturdays with just a pheasant season day work?
That's up to you folks.
No, I think we should have both Saturdays. I'd move we open those 2 Saturdays.
Could we, keep the numbers so we kinda know for next year?
Sure.
What it looks like?
Yeah.
You know, if the...
People always complain
openers-
you don't have time to vote, so this takes away that excuse on a vote.
Yeah, you know,
That's my opinion.
if we have a good turnout one Saturday and a really poor one, maybe we can make the decision next year whether we only use 1 or 2 or...
Next year,
Yep.
probably.
And the number of hours?
2 years. 2 years. Yeah.
Well, the number of hours, if you have it, you know, a chart that you know from every election that you've done it, then you have something to go by, because you know which ones are the big election dates and ones aren't.
I'd second the motion.
Motion by Fishback, second by Kipley, to authorize being open the Saturdays, October 20th and 27th for absentee voting, or all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We need a resolution for the vote centers. We need clarification on vote center 1. When the American, somehow they overbooked for the city school last year, so we had to temporarily move it to Cooper City. And I failed to get a resolution stating that that temporary vote center was no longer used. It's back at the American. So it's more of a cleanup thing than changing anything. It was just...
I'll move it.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
So it'll be at the American this year?
Yes, and it was in the spring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moved by Sutton, second by Hanson, to approve the resolution for the vote center for the American Inn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We have done 2 operating transfers to the highway, and their cash is getting low again. And so you need another operating transfer to the highway for $1 million. That leaves 700 and, I don't have it in front of me, but over 700,000 left. But by the end of the year, if you don't need to transfer that much, you can decide. But today I would recommend the $1 million.
I'll move that.
Second.
Moved by Fishback, second by Kipley, to authorize operating transfer to the highway for $1 million. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Were there leases on the agenda?
Yeah, it says
Yes,
lease.
okay, yep, okay. There's Ron Colley School and Aberdeen American News.
Move them.
Second.
I'll
Moved
stay
by
out of
Sutton, second by Kipley, to approve the leases. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
You-
Motion carries.
There's a fireworks permit for Jeff Hedges.
Is that with the wedding that he's
I
doing?
believe so.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Kipley, second by Sutton, to approve the fireworks permit. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
There were 3 plats.
Move 'em.
Second.
Oh, I can't. I have to abstain.
Okay.
Moved by Sutton, second by Fishback, to approve the plats. All in favor?
Aye.
Just on that
Opposed?
one, Nancy, because these are separate.
Yep.
Okay.
South Dakota Retirement System penalty.
I didn't see the voucher go through on that, Gary.
I haven't seen it yet either, I guess.
So we don't know if there's...
Patty must have the letter.
I will talk to her after the meeting.
Okay.
So we don't know if there was a dollar amount or anything attached to that, or is it just...
I was on the phone and Sarah showed it to me and I don't remember what the amount was.
But it has been paid?
No, because that's why I checked to see if there was a voucher in today.
Okay.
Communication helps a lot.
Maybe if we take a little break later in the meeting, we can check into it.
Yeah.
On the agenda, get it taken care of.
Okay, there are 3 county rezones. We need to, motion to authorize advertising ordinance 124, that's a Gower rezone, ordinance 125, a Bitts rezone, ordinance 126, a Wolf rezone. And the motion to authorize advertising can be on all in one motion, and then when we have the first reading and second reading possible adoption, they're individual.
I'll move the week advertising.
Second.
Moved by Fishback, second by Sutton, to authorize the advertise for ordinance 124, 125, and 126. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Approve and authorize the chair sign reimbursement number 1 for the landfill cell 3 grant.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Gifley, to authorize chair to sign the reimbursement number 1 for the landfill cell 3. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Approve and authorize chair sign resolution for a new compactor grant.
I see that's on the irregular agenda too. Is there anything we need to know before we...
Oh,
Maybe we wait on that one.
That's Mike and Ted are gonna
Yeah.
talk about
oh,
that.
okay. So compactor we'll wait on.
Yeah, it's on there.
Okay. Okay, approve and authorize, chair sign restricted use solid waste disposal facility permit for Claremont.
Let's wait on that one too.
Yep, because that's on the agenda also.
Okay. Where is that?
I don't see that on the
It's
agenda.
right below the
think we were
discuss
gonna
solid
ask-
waste.
So are they just wanting a dump site up there, or don't they already have one? Or what is that? Do you know?
got one.
Claremont?
Claremont's got a restricted
What's
use.
this discussed
Do you know what this one
Two
is
different
for?
things.
Which one?
There's a
Well, it says right here,
solid waste disposal
Discuss solid
facility
waste.
permit that Claremont wants. Have you seen it or
So
not?
that's the same thing?
The-
No, that's
I haven't,
different.
but I'm assuming it's just a renewal, but...
Oh.
Yeah, it's
The
just-
solid waste management program is the SW, that's the grant for the compactor.
Is Claremont's deal just a renewal?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Then
That was our
would-
question.
I would move that then.
second that.
Okay.
Moved by Kempley, second by Fishback, authorize chair to sign restricted use solid waste disposal for Claremont. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Shelley Mitchell, from the Heckler area redeemed her property, and so you need to authorize the chair to sign the quitclaim deed.
Move.
Second.
Good job by the people.
Moved by Sutton, second by Hanson, to authorize chair to sign the quitclaim deed back to resident and Hecla. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Do you want me to wait on the last couple, or?
Yeah, we can. Wait for our next item, it's going to be at 9 o'clock. Next item on the agenda will be our motion for any changes in the provisional budget and adopt the 2019 budget.
Okay, that last sheet I gave you is a sample of the motion, and that sheet is this sheet here. And the only 2 changes were you added $8,100 to the Fund 207, the Communications Center, and we received the utilities values, and so that will change the property tax number. Those are the only two changes. Well, three. It changes the property tax number, the cash applied in the general fund, and then the increase in 207 of the 8,100. And I just have them penciled on that sheet. Those are the three items you're changing, or approving.
And we're adopting a budget for the total of what?
Well,
I don't see it.
this is just for the changes.
Okay,
If you want to do this motion first, and then
I'll
we'll...
move them.
okay.
Second.
Moved by Hanson, second by Sutton to authorize the changes in the budget. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and this is the actual annual budget, and the numbers on that are reflected on your cheat sheet. And then the first page of the annual budget report is the resolution with the tax levy on it that you sign. So, the amount of tax dollars is $14,412,221, which it reflects a mill levy of 3.590. And that's the cover sheet for the actual breakdown. The total budget for the general fund is $19,844,892.75, and then you have your special revenue funds and the landfill. If you want the grand total, that includes the general, the specials, the debt service for the TIF, and the landfill, it's $31,294,919.76.
How's the mill levy compared to last year? Up a little?
Up a little, not much.
I think it was like 3.49 last year.
Yeah. And this would be a resolution to adopt the cover sheet, which this is the attachment for.
That was right here, 3.436.
Yeah.
Right there.
I'll move it after.
Second.
Moved by Hanson, second by Sutton to adopt the 2019 annual budget for a total of $31,294,919.76. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Just a couple minutes before we go on to the next question for you. We did display total savings account of fire poles.
We haven't done that yet. I think Scott Meister is going to come in and
Okay,
get on that.
that's that.
Yeah.
I made a motion, I missed spoken that, like we just needed that, it's gonna grow that savings on that motion. Is that all right?
Oh, that's all right.
Okay.
When we used to buy that, they could buy either one. One was closed, the other one didn't get off the
We'll go on to our next item. We have Ted Dickey, Northeast Council of Governments, and Mike Scott. Landfill management, discuss solid waste management program, grant for compactor. Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning.
We got a call from Mike last week saying he needs a new compactor out at the landfill. So we have in front of the board this morning a Department of Environment and Natural Resources Solid Waste Management Program grant application. Total project cost is $695,000. We're applying for half of that in the form of a grant from DENR. We have a resolution in front of the board this morning which would authorize the chair to sign the application. We should hear later this year, like Christmas time, if you get a present.
And hopefully we can bid this right away next year.
When did we get the last one?
2012. We've got an 02 on hand and a 2012 on hand, and the 02 will go. We need a spare.
Yeah.
All the time. So, and they both in that 10 to 12,000 hour range right now, so we're,
Does the O2 have any
We've-
salvage value?
what's that?
Does the O2 have any salvage value at all?
It'll have some. I don't know how much, 30,000 maybe?
What's book price on the new ones?
Right at
695,000.
700, just south of 700,000.
And what did we pay for the 2012 one? I'm curious.
Oh, I want to say just right around 600,000.
So, that's,
But this will have GPS on it also, so that increases that cost some.
Why do we need that? We're gonna know where we're going with that.
The biggest thing with the GPS on the compactor is just our grid locations, where we're placing that waste every day.
I see.
If someone would ever come back and want to know where something was put,
then you can...
we would know exactly where it was.
Yep.
Yeah,
And that hasn't happened, but it very well
it
could.
has happened
Yeah,
other
I'm
places.
sure it could,
So-
Need a motion on that?
I'll move, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll move the signing, the chair sign the
Second.
application.
It's actually a resolution, but that matters.
Conti, second.
Yeah.
Motion by Hanson, second by Fishback to authorize the chair to sign the application for the grant for the compactor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
This will be a roll call vote.
Okay.
Resolution.
Anything else for us, gentlemen? We'll
That's it.
move forward with it.
All right, luck.
And hopefully we
Thank
get
you.
that grant accomplished.
Yep, thank you.
Mike.
How you doing? How are you? Good.
Hey, Bill.
Okay.
Hey, doing right for
You
you,
want to
Mike?
back to that,
I got it.
The bottom two,
yeah.
and then I'll call Scott.
When we hit the landfill, we can prove.
Okay.
Authorize the grant for the,
Here, it's not mine.
Really?
now that
You
we
want it?
left, we can authorize the grant for the.
We just did that.
So we're, you want to bring that up?
Yep. Okay.
Big...
When they were
Inside those.
conducting the audit, Dave Schlosser pointed out that back in 2001, we had a joint powers agreement with the Aberdeen Housing and Redevelopment Commission. And in the meantime, Dave pointed out that on the Secretary of State's website, the Housing and Redevelopment, at that time in 2001, it was the Aberdeen Housing and Redevelopment Commission. Now, on the Secretary's website, it is Housing and Redevelopment Commission of the City of Aberdeen. And the Secretary of State has that first one with Aberdeen First inactive. And he said we should do something to have our joint powers agreement match what's approved by the Secretary of State's in their corporation.
Anybody know why it was changed?
No. But anyway, I visited with Chris and Jody Zuger at Housing and Redevelopment. There's a resolution just amending that original joint powers agreement to change the name. It was in the packet from Aberdeen Housing and Redevelopment to Housing and Redevelopment Commission of Aberdeen City. So that's what this motion would do.
Like some lawyer got involved in that.
I'll move it.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Fishback, to amend the
Joint powers agreement.
joint powers agreement amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, then also, we need a resolution appointing the members to the Brown County Housing and Redevelopment Commission. And they don't really meet, it's just a mirror of who actually meets, only we have to have 2 commissioners on it. So I got a list of the members from Jody, of the current members, and let me find the sheet in here.
But they don't meet?
Doesn't sound
My
like
kind of board.
Yeah.
That's the first one.
Want that one?
Okay, the two commissioners are Doug and Dwayne. You did that in January. And the sitting members on the Housing and Redevelopment are Colleen Callum, Millie Young, Marty Sabelo, Sister Pat Prunty, and Connie Kusler. We only appoint 3 of the 5 because of the 2 commissioners sitting on the county that never meets. Government red tape. I would recommend that the 3 with the term limits the longest be appointed by this board to serve, or to be named with Doug and Dwayne. That would be Millie Young, Marty Sabilo, and Connie Kusler.
I'd move it. A little confused.
I'm just wondering, do they get paid?
No, they never meet.
In what situation might they meet?
I don't know. It's just one of the stipulations. See, with the housing and redevelopment, in order for that group to go outside of the city limits, you have to relinquish your authority. And basically, that's what this does, but you still have to have a named board.
Something like those
That
mobile
makes
home
sense?
type things?
Never heard of it before.
If they ever did go outside city limits, it would trigger the involvement of...
No.
No, okay, we're
No.
giving them the power.
You've given them the power.
Have they ever went outside city limits?
Yes, I believe they have.
They did.
Yeah, they do. Because we want them to work,
For
on
everybody?
behalf of all Brown County.
Sounds like it's just something to qualify for housing and urban
Right.
development grants or
Yeah.
whatever, tied to some federal program.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
I have a motion from Fishback,
I'll second it.
second from Hanson, to appoint members to the Brown County Housing and Redevelopment Commission. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
This will be roll call.
Okay.
Okay,
That's an official action for a non.
now I cut into Dirk's time. No,
Gary's next.
Gary's time.
Gary's time.
Sorry, Gary.
Not a problem. Gary, next on the agenda is Commission Assistant, discuss flu shots.
It's that time of year again, and so our nurse was asking about, as you remember last year, we actually went back, we found out that the insurance companies cover the flu shots, and so we just had people that were interested in getting one go to their doctors and have the insurance take care of it. This year she was asking, that excluded the part-time employees last year when we went that direction since they don't have insurance, so she was just asking if there's any way to have the part-time employees covered if they would like to get a flu shot, whether
What's
they
the
could
cost?
submit something for reimbursement to the county, or how they, if and how that would be possible.
What's the cost of it?
If I remember right, I think it was $35 or something last year.
We used to just give them to them for
They used to do it here, so
Yeah.
then that's when anybody could go
Yeah.
that chose to get one. But last year, when they found out that the insurance covered it, she didn't order them, she just had everybody go out and do it on their own.
Is it cheaper to order them and have them administer it, or is it the cost the same?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
pretty much the same, and
I think it's a benefit to the county if all the employees have these flu shots. Because if one gets them, like in the jail, I don't,
Roughly how many part-time do we have that we would be compensating?
I don't know how many in the past, it's their choice whether they do it or
But I mean, if
not.
everybody did it, how many part-time?
Yeah, that's what I was
I
wondering.
want to know the most we would pay.
Yeah, you could probably,
50?
yeah, probably around that, I suppose.
$1,500 or so.
But you
well,
never,
Plus
50
the
of them,
administrative
it'd be less
cost of
than
having them all
200.
fit receipts and all that stuff.
And would that come out of the
vouchering
budget
it.
of each individual employee, what department you work for?
Yeah, Yeah,
That we could affect budgets there
that's how
too.
we'd have to do
Have we
that.
ever paid for part-time in the past for it?
When we just did
Did it
it
for
here
all
in the past
employees.
until last year, so,
It's about $1,000 for
yeah.
the cost of the shots, and then the nurse and PC students administer them.
Maybe our health insurance company, does that affect anything? Same.
Yeah,
They'll still cover it.
from what she said, it should be the same.
I'll move that we cover the cost for part-time employees if they choose to get a flu shot.
So they would just submit a receipt?
That seems like it'd be about the easiest.
Okay.
I second it.
Unless we ordered it and did it here, like, just have the nurse do it like we did
All
in the
right,
past, whatever's
sounds
easiest.
good.
Moved by Sutton, second by Kipling, to authorize the part-time employees reimbursement for their flu shots. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And Blue Cross covers the flu shots?
That's what she was saying.
They did that, oh no,
That was-
back before,
Changed
when they
insurance
had
company,
it.
so
Yeah,
that's wasn't my
I would
question.
imagine they would.
yeah. They used to cover it when we had Blue Cross before.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, Dirk Rogers, Highway Superintendent.
Morning, Dirk.
Hey, morning, Dirk.
Oh, need a few folding chairs today even.
You got a few items on the agenda for us.
Yeah, this is gonna be a real happy meeting, I'll tell you, right at the beginning, so you can be psychologically prepared.
already heard
You got
about it. We already
pictures for
know.
us?
How bad was it?
Well, we'll see. I wanna go through do a couple things, I don't know what order stuff's in up there.
Set date
Set date for
for
five-year plan.
Okay, that would be a good one. October 9th is when I'd like to have the meeting, Max, and then we just have to advertise, it's not defined, just sometime between now and October 9th, and we can use whatever document we used last time if you have it, and we'll just change the dates and go from there. So if that's okay with you guys, we'll do that on the 9th.
Why don't you make a motion to authorize advertising that, just,
I'll move it.
one more
Second.
place where it's in.
Moved by Hanson, second by Sutton, to authorize the advertisement October 9th for the five-year highway plan and bridge. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Got a right-of-way occupancy for Northern Electric. Looks like they're just boring underneath 104th Street up here, a mile east of Stearns' corner.
Move it.
Second. Moved by Kipling, second by Fishback, to authorize a right-of-way for Northern Electric. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Well, the Richmond Bridge discussion's probably a shorter conversation, so let's do that next. There's no reasonable way to get the bridge put in this fall yet. It's gonna take too long to get the rest of the historical clearance. Just going through the motions. Obviously, a hard way for me to learn a lesson here, but as soon as later this week, we're gonna figure out how we're gonna address, the multiple bridge projects that we didn't get done this year, and get all the permitting and everything in place, and then see how they fit into the schedule, because we've had a few things fall through the cracks this year, and I can't have them all piling up in 2019. It's just, we gotta come up with a plan for that stuff, so. The short version is, it's not gonna get replaced this year. We'll be meeting on Thursday to figure out how we're gonna leave it. It'll be open, and probably won't be a lot worse than it was prior to us working on it as far as that goes. It'll be a little snaky around the bridge there. We'll have to have some extra signing and some stuff like that, but when we're done here, when we shut her down for the winter, it'll be open, and you'll be able to take traffic through there. We'll have to post the bridge down even further. The garbage trucks run over it anyway. That's their decision to make, I guess. So they went over it when it was a 10-ton bridge. This will probably get posted down to a 3-ton bridge, basically just for car traffic. So that's what we'll be looking at there. I've had some people ask them who they can contact to help expedite the process. If you want to call your congresspeople and tell them to do something about the Corps and you know, things like that, whatever, good luck. I mean, I'm just saying, it's kind of a tough deal when we're dealing with the Clean Water Act and we get held up on historical preservation. So I'm a little challenged on some of that stuff.
It's a
but,
national issue, because
Yeah.
I sat on the board in D.C. and I think, yeah.
and I asked the Corps last week at the county convention if they've changed their, you know, this isn't something that's new. It's always been in the Clean Water Act since it was passed, but to ask if they've changed their interpretation of how they, evaluate that rule, and they said, no, we're doing it the same way we always have, and I don't know if I agree with that or not, but I don't want them digging back in the past and going through permits that we didn't go through the clearance on, so, I don't know. At any rate, that's where that's at. It will be done next year, hopefully very early in the year, at the early reasonable time to get the construction done, and I wish, a couple things I wish we'd have done differently. One would be, had I decided to put not put a concrete deck on this bridge, we'd still probably be building it, because you'd be able to still construct it, would be less concrete, or no concrete in the bridge deck. And I wish I had just said it was a 2-year project going in, you know. And so, at any rate, that's that discussion. If you guys want, I'll certainly entertain any further comments about it. I know it's less than ideal at best.
Out of our control.
All right.
What effects that the bridge is gonna have that it didn't have before, as far as its narrowness, or just the way the contour, what was changed on the deck? I haven't been out there looked at the bridge, so you're saying it's gonna be less than ideal. What structure changed to make that it's gonna affect people driving through it?
Because we raised the grade is raised. The grade was raised 6 feet. So right now, if we were to go out there right now and drive it, you know, you'd be coming along and you get to where the bridge is. Because, you know, a good percentage of the rest of the grade's done. We're gonna have some additional cost here. Without going out there and looking real close at it, I would assume we'll pull some of the material that's already been placed on the north side of the bridge. We'll pull that down, you know, to kind of figure out, and we're calculating the depth of material we can put on the bridge, because, you know, it's
Weight limit.
right, and things like that. So that's what the main thing would be, Doug, is the road was raised up, but the bridge wasn't. And that's, you know, if you drove through there right now, you wouldn't want to try it in a Yugo, probably. Yeah. Did I date myself a little bit? Okay, the other one is I alluded to a little bit last year. God, why am I last year? Last week, or the last time we visited, was about the density tests on the turning lane projects. The initial test did not pass. We did a little more thorough test, and those didn't pass either. So I overreacted instantly and said take it all out, which isn't, you know, would solve the problem, but it's not always, that's rarely done. Most of the time you go through a process of evaluating it, and you end up with a deduct of some sort. Now, philosophically, it doesn't make the road any stronger. That's the problem. And I've got some documents here, depending on how much you guys want to walk through this process with me, on how I came up with a 13% reduction in the price. We can do that if you want to see the numbers, but I use the DOT's policy specific to densities. The density on this project was 92, was the target density, and none of the 5 tests that we did on the first 550 tons passed. They ranged from 88 up to just under 92, just below 92. You could say maybe that one passed, you round it to 91.8 if you want to round it up. Well, anyway, if you take those five tests and run them through this process, it'll come up with a 13% reduction. And it just has to do with how much the test deviated from the target of 92. So my recommendation, which last week was to tear it all out, has softened somewhat. I've also got a letter from Leans offering a 2-year warranty on it, as well as a flush seal, which would add a little more oil to it. When your density's low, that means your air voids are too high, and if your air voids are too high, they should be filled with oil. Follow me? So if your air voids are high, your oil content's probably low, but the oil content seems to test out okay. So, what I'm going to recommend to you guys, and I'm certainly wide open to anything in either direction from this, is if you go through the process, so that 550 tons, it's $109 per ton in place is what the bid item is. So that comes out to $57,225. 13% reduction of that is about $77.93. So we wouldn't pay them about $7,800, which represents 13% of what was in place that was covered by the failed tests. So like I said, I don't know how much you want to go through this whole thing, but that's it in a nutshell.
That would be in lieu of the offer they gave us with...
No,
or
that's in addition to
okay.
it. Yeah, I would also recommend that we take them up on the flush seal so we can add some more oil in. It won't obviously go all the way through, but it gets the oil in the top of it. And and then he offered a 2-year warranty, which I would restate as 2 years from today or 1 year after the bean plant starts receiving product. I mean, we want it warranted from now until the plant opens, obviously, but at the same time, the critical time is going to be after they start receiving material, and that's when I would like us to have the protection. So, as long as it's worded like that, and I haven't talked with this way the schedule's going, I mean, I think either 2 years from today or 1 year after they open, it's going to basically cover the same time period.
Now, for clarification.
Yep.
We've got a lot of turning lanes out there. Are you talking the one that was gravel that comes out? Is that the one you're talking about?
Specific to this material?
Right.
Everything on the east side of the road. Everything on the west side of the road.
Okay.
Everything on the west side of the road is what we're talking about here.
The west side of...
14. Now, they paved yesterday on the east side as a result of our meeting last week. I said, raise the oil 0.5%, and hopefully that would address everything. And what they did yesterday, tested out at 94, which is 2% higher than what the spec is.
And this is at the 8th and 14th.
Yep.
How is...
It's at 8th and 14th, and the first lift that's up at
Prairiewood?
Prairiewood.
Because I haven't gone that way naturally because of that. So is this going to, you feel more comfortable that this will make this stable? I'm thinking, it doesn't take long for a road to break down if the base is shot.
Right. And the base, okay, to clarify, the base is okay. The gravel base that they
Okay.
put down tested out fine. This is just the asphalt that's
Just
sitting
the
on,
lift.
that's sitting on top of it. Yep.
Okay.
There's two things here. One is, if we're going to test something and we're going to pay somebody for quality control and it comes out bad, well then what the hell are you doing if you don't follow up on it? I mean, then why are we even testing? Why would we
I
spend the
agree.
money? Then we're just going to go out there. Now, I don't want to be a complete hypocrite. When we're out doing stuff, our testing sometimes is limited to, wait a minute, that doesn't look right. Let's check that out. And that's when we're doing our own stuff and we're doing our own quality control. But because of the nature of the funding of this, along with it's kind of a high-profile project, and it's not entirely the county's money that we're using here, that changes my perspective a little bit. But I would have rather just not tested it and, roll the dice than to test it, get a failing test, and then just say, well, that's all right. It doesn't make any sense to do that.
It sounds like, I feel comfortable with your solution to this. I really do.
So,
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
Do we need a motion on this?
well, it's going to come through. It'll have to come through in a change order at some point, and you can act on the change order and do it that way. So,
I think you're okay.
and I will, we'll write a response and send it back to the engineers and to the contractor. And it's a slippery slope. We're running up against the gun. It's another beautiful day for paving as we're trying to get our last day of stuff done for the county, and what we don't get done today, I have to get liens to come and help us finish stuff for the day, for the year, and to go down and do Road 23 yet. So, we're a rock and a hard place here, and with them, with their things getting straightened out with what they did yesterday, I mean, everything, hopefully it's just an isolated stretch there where we had an issue, so.
Try combining beans.
Yeah, I know. Well, in Beetle County, they went and did the same process that we did on 23. Beetle County started theirs after ours, and they're not done yet, because the weather keeps pushing them back, so they're actually, he's a little more frantic than I am right now, down there, so. All right, that's how I'm gonna address that one. And I don't have any more great news for the day, unless you guys have something.
Not great.
All right.
Are we good?
Oh, can we go into personnel, or go into exec for personnel?
Move it.
Second.
Oh, and also, I was gonna have Dirk stick around and go into exec to talk about that legal issue you were just talking about. So if we could do that at the same time to save everybody time.
Yep.
So I
I'd add that to my motion.
Second.
I have a motion from Kempley, a second from Hanson to go into exec for legal and personnel. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are in exec. Out of exec, there's no action as a result of legal and no action as a result of personnel. Next item on the agenda, we have Derek Ritchie, Fair Manager, to discuss the grandstand concession contract.
Morning.
Morning, everybody. Morning, Derek. How we doing?
Good.
How are you? I'm doing good.
It'll be a while, Ted.
All right, reset point of the contract termination for one, and then now the bid process and language for the next contract based on the prerequisites in the ordinance. I do have a couple of questions on some things that we'll need to talk about as far as language changes, and we'll have to consult with legal on that before I bring those up and open, because I'm not 100% sure on some of them. There's also some language that we may want to look at, like on number 10, for example, look at either changing that date to September 15th to match the other contracts. I've talked about wanting to have all of the contracts within the concessions kind of reflect each other, so we're getting everybody on equal footing. Right now it says that the board will be paid the following commission on gross receipts by August 30th. Payment was remitted on the 15th, but that August 30th might be a little bit too early based on the need for the nonprofits to also go over the financials with their boards too as well. We made that change to the clubhouse contract, and I think we should probably make that change in the RFP to this one too as well.
September 15th.
September 15th, yep. We also might need to look at changing number 4 bullet point A. It says sell only tap beer. There are some versions of the beer that are coming in either cans or only available in cans, and talking with the distributor. And Mike, did we sell cans this year and then pour it into cups?
We, just with the foo-foo drink.
Sure. So we'll need to change that language to reflect that, to give whoever the group is the flexibility to also use cans if cans is the only option for that particular product. Right now it says tap beer only.
But if they use cans, they gotta pour it in.
They gotta pour it into a cup. Yep, we'll put that as a separate bullet point underneath that. But
Could you just remove the words only tap and just sell beer, wine coolers, and food?
you could, and then just put
That
a
way
bullet
it's-
point that it has to be in a cup. Yeah, you could do that.
So could you get a better buy on soft drinks if you could just, rather than have to do one year and one the other, that you could just take a bid from those guys?
Honestly,
Pepsi?
neither one is large enough to be able to handle that. We've already had that
Wouldn't
discussion
matter.
on that. Yeah. They wouldn't bid basically if it was exclusive based on their labor pool, so.
I see.
Okay, so we'll remove the word only
Only
And tap.
and tap. Yeah. And then we'll add the bullet point about must be served in cups underneath that.
Under bullet B, Are they referred to as Coke of Aberdeen and Pepsi of Aberdeen anymore?
They're not, I think we
I
should
think-
almost change that, because it's,
So they're legal.
You could say local distributors, but I think they have different legal names now.
Thank you.
That isn't the same anymore.
and do we even need to define Coke and Pepsi? Do we just say sell soft drinks from approved vendors, or from authorized vendors?
And local, yeah.
Yeah, authorized local vendors.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think right now, Mike, based on how it's currently set up, you don't make a distinction as Pepsi in one area and Coke in the other.
No, they literally
Right.
put, yeah, they put a cooler every other place and they share that.
Okay.
They do it really evenly.
So we can even eliminate the two soft drink vendors taking turns. We can just make that a lot more simpler and say, sell soft drinks from authorized local vendors. Number 7, we're gonna look to change grandstand events to gate opening, and that will be more clearly defined, because if they want, at some of the concerts, we want to bump it about a half an hour, because the touring artists are requesting gates open about a half an hour earlier, at 6:30 versus 7. So we'll just, and we'll have a bullet point underneath that will say when gate opening will be.
Gate open, that's
Yeah.
a good idea.
So we'll also allow folks to get in maybe a little bit earlier, reduce some congestion as well on the lines getting in. Okay, the other 3 bullet points we'll have to confer with legal on, so I would ask for a motion for executive session.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Kempley, going to exec to talk about legal for repair contract. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are in exec. While we are out of exec, no action as a result.
Okay.
And part of it was without Derek. The last half. Okay, you have to know.
Greg was only in for contract.
Okay.
I didn't want to testify. I'm sorry. I'll make the changes,
personnel.
email the document, and...
Derek wasn't in for the
No,
personnel?
personnel
Okay.
or legal.
Okay. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I'll go ahead and make the changes to the language that we talked about, and then email that out to you guys for review, and then we can move forward on the RFP unless you have any questions after we make those changes and email them out for next week.
Okay, sounds good. And then what, we advertised October, end of September?
Generally, end of September. The goal is end of September through about October 15th, with the intent of awarding the contract either at the end of October or beginning of November. If we're going to change the dates on the payment side of it, I would recommend for future years, we also look at adjusting those dates too, because it's such a short window
Yeah.
to be able to try to turn that around. I don't know that we can do that effectively, and we may miss some things. So we may want to look at changing that, but that requires an ordinance change, which is a whole different process, so we'll have to look at that going forward for the next round of contracts.
Mike, do you have anything to add that you'd like to share, anything?
No, sir,
Okay.
just in there listening.
Okay. I think that, any other questions for Derek? I think that...
No.
Will do.
Thank you.
We'll wait for you to rewrite
Good
that
day.
and put that in, and then we'll get it advertised.
And then I'll highlight what the changes in the verbiage are that we talked about today, so that way you know kind of, you'll have a guideline of what we changed. Do you want me to send the original one from the last bid round too, along with the contract with the changes? So
The
can
one you
see-
handed out?
Yeah, this one and then the
I
one
think
with the
we've got
changes.
that.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that'd be nice.
Thanks, Derek.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thanks, Mike.
See ya.
We're back to an item, state and local...
590 is Scott's number, if you call him.
I just seen him somewhere, I went by.
I think he went back down again.
Bye.
Scott,
Good
right
luck.
here, you got a minute for that
Thanks,
state
Chris.
local agreement? Safety committee? Okay, thanks, guys. He's on his
American
way.
News fell apart.
Do we have anything else, Max, that we didn't?
No.
think we have everything covered except for Scott's explanation on the state and local agreement.
Did you want to do the planning and zoning appeal at the end of next week's meeting? Is that your preference, or do you want me to just set a time and it is going to take what it takes?
Better schedule the last item next week so that we have plenty of time to...
Doesn't that have to be advertised?
For the...
Appeal?
I guess that would be a Chris question, but he made it sound like that it just goes straight to the meeting, so, for appeal.
As long as we have it on the agenda.
Yeah.
You can check with him.
I will.
Check with Chris.
Okay.
Morning.
Hey, Scott.
Morning.
It's a public meeting, right?
Morning, Scott.
Good morning.
This is a public meeting, correct?
Well...
Well, yeah.
Enlighten us, Scott, on our state and local agreement safety committee, your thoughts. I think you talked about this earlier in the year, about some of the...
We did. You know, they've made some changes coming the next year, which is the contract that we're discussing. They're taking away and going with only salary, okay? So instead of paying us for salary and benefits for me, 100%, and some administrative fees and things like that, equipment that they used to, it's now going only to salary and benefits. 50% for me, and I believe 50% for Patty. Still have to jump through all the hoops, still have to jump through, like I said, the list goes on and on. In fact, it's increased a little to meet those requirements, okay? The kicker is coming that they're now saying that they don't want to pay if we're claiming to be 100% emergency management time, our functions need to be based on 100% emergency management. So things like the safety committee, our drone program, our healthcare coalition are all agencies that we support and function with, but they may kick us out of that 100% emergency management time. Now, I've talked to the state numerous times and asked for clarification on this, and this morning again I got told that just go ahead as if it's 100%, and if it changes, we'll change it later. Well, that makes me a little uncomfortable, because all of a sudden now, if we get taken out of 100%, that's going to even drop that grant money down even less. So, I don't know if you want to weigh that. You know, the contract says September 30th. I asked if we don't sign today, and I got told that, well, you know, we technically could, until the date you sign, withhold those funds. We probably wouldn't, but we could. So like I said, we can't get a straight answer. You know, I sat down and just scribbled down, like I said, some of this stuff. And we're not the only county. There's some other counties that, you know, have police programs and dive programs. And again, the dive team's not under our office, but we do support and train with the dive team and stuff like that. You know, and they're talking keeping hourly numbers for our time, record keeping for our time, so that we can prove that we're 100%. You know, at one time this year we were keeping 3 timesheets, folks, just to keep the state happy. Frankly, I know this is money, and this is, you know, comes down to this is grant money, but I don't know where we draw the line to say we're spending more money than we're getting.
What do we talk for a grant, Scott?
Well, I did a quick little estimate. I know we just got a letter the other day that our third quarter for this last year was $58,000. What exactly that's going to be, I can't get the state to give me even an answer on that. I said, I'd like to see what you think based off of our current salary and time, what we're going to get. Well, they haven't provided that yet either. Now, Patty and I did some, you know, rough estimates, and it's still around that 50 to 60,000, you know, again, give or take, if they claim us to be 100%. The other thing is if you read in there, Patty will have to do, in order to claim her 50%, will have to do just about everything I'm doing. So any training, any certifications, any of that kind of stuff, we're going to have to go together.
And leaves no one here.
That leaves no one here. And not that we're gone a lot, but I anticipate our travel budget going up, all that kind of stuff. So again, I haven't penciled it out, you know, down to the pennies or the nickels, but I just don't know where, I don't know what to do. I really don't, because again, where is it enough is enough versus, you know, we can save money. Now, if we don't sign this, I can tell you that we will have some free time. I know we talked about this here a few months back, that, you know, is there something that we can put Patty doing or vice versa? Is that maybe that somebody, an extra help in dispatch or, you know, whatever that is, I think we could free up some time for her, because again, this agreement is a large sum of our work for the year. The exercises, you know, putting on an exercise, it takes me 40 to 60 hours to do the proper paperwork just to meet the one line item in their contract. Are we still doing exercises? Absolutely. But again, the paperwork is so immense that, like I said, I'm spending over a week working on this stuff. And again, I can't get answers. They're just telling me it'll be okay.
Does this affect any other type of thing if we don't sign this? It doesn't have any bearing on anything else we're going to do or any
No.
other programs that come into play?
No. They still have to provide us. We're still following Homeland Security rules for grants. You know, we're still jumping through those hoops, which are getting about just as bad, but they're not quite as bad as this. But again, we're not the only county struggling with this. I talked to a few other counties, and they're really debating, you know, what to do too. Because again, where's the savings versus we're spending more? I don't know.
Is this under Department of Public Safety at the state, or who's the
Yes.
contact you've been working with?
This is through the EM office which is under the Department of Public Safety.
You know, my head's just rolling with all this, because all those programs you said, in my mind, are emergency management programs. So the dive team,
I would think too, but again, I can't get an answer on the safety
No.
committee, you know, and that's what Max brought up was, okay, you know, we think so, but we don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and again, we're not the only county, so you got multiple counties that the safety committee is under their EM office, and again, they're not getting answers either.
So that would say
So-
that you can't be on the safety committee, and, which to me is
Well-
foolish, and the second thing is you don't manage it, someone else, other office has to.
We wouldn't be able to put any time to be able to claim our 100%. So again, this morning I brought up, okay, does that include our drone program?
Yeah.
Does that include, you know, these other, like I said, we're sitting on a Department of Healthcare Coalition group. Are we done with that? We can't claim that time? I mean, I can't go to those meetings and put that on my timesheet to get paid, you know? I don't know. They're not giving us that answer. And like I said, this program, does it have some merit? I think it probably does. But again, I'm spending the majority of my time working on this agreement just to jump through the hoops.
Bureaucrats, huh?
Kind of. And I don't want to badmouth the state. There's some federal requirements in here too, you know, for the grant money. It's not solely the state, but again, the hoops are getting to be pretty long.
So what would we be out, dollar and cents?
50-some thousand, you said?
Well,
That's a
this year
quarter.
right now, it's 58, I'd say about $60,000. I'm under my budget by $40,000 currently right now.
And look at the extra time now with Patty, if we eliminate this program, and you got extra hours, and you know how it is to try to move an employee someplace else, what are Patty's thoughts that she may say, well, I'm not doing that. I mean,
No, I think she's, you know, obviously depending on what it is, obviously, you know, we can't, I don't know that she's gonna be willing to, you know, go be a treasurer's office employee or anything like that, but again, if it's something, like I said, the Sanford incident thing, I immediately called down here and sent her to dispatch because I knew that they were gonna need help. You know, she ran down the hallway, she made phone calls and helped out for that incident. You know, again, those would be some things. Kent and I have talked a little bit, you know, is there some stuff for her to do down there? I think there maybe is. We would have to have a little bit more conversation, but, you know, can she help out Scott Bader? I don't know. I'm just throwing out some ideas. Maybe it gets down to where I don't, I better not say.
So, the next question is, if we sign for that grant, we have a right to deny that money if we say, hey, we signed the grant, but we're not gonna participate? I mean, where do you see that being up for us?
Well, if we sign it and we don't do any of this stuff, we're just not gonna get paid.
That sounds like the way to go.
Signing it,
That's why I'm asking. I think that's our way to go.
Kind of a last minute thing. here.
Yeah. I agree with that, Doug.
Yeah.
That gives us an option and time to get some other options in place.
Well, maybe you'll have some defined answers from the state by that time. Right now, they're asking us to sign something that they're not giving us any answers on.
Exactly,
Blank contract.
exactly. And again, if we don't, there's nothing into that I can read that says, if you don't hold up your end of the bargain, you owe us this much in return. It's just that we're not gonna get paid,
If we don't accept it, we surely can't be charged back for it.
Exactly.
Okay.
What would you, what are your thoughts on that? Would that be something that you'd probably...
Truthfully, I don't know, besides the financial aspect of this is not providing anything to Brown County, except the financial gain. We're still doing training, we're still required to do this, we're still doing exercises with our departments, we're still, doing healthcare stuff, we're still doing drone stuff, we're still doing dive team stuff. None of that stuff's gonna change. It's just getting rid of the bureaucracy that they've tagged the money on, is what it is. I would love to get rid of this document, but again, it's the financial side that...
But we're probably not talking a true $60,000, because if they come back and say, well, your drone don't qualify, your dive team, this don't qualify, and they're only gonna pay half that, that dollar amount could go down to $30,000 for next year.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's what I can't answer. And like I said, I've asked for those financial numbers, and I've asked numerous times throughout the year when this, and our EM group, our association was, I don't want to say we were part of this, we had a representative, as part of this, but again, the ideas that were thrown out by the EMs went to the side, and this is what we got. And like I said, talking with other counties, even this morning, we're not the only ones that want out of this. And again, I think it's all coming down to the financial side of how do we make up this money if we get out of this versus jumping through all these hoops. So, because again, there's nothing in here except making work for me.
And you have a number of other grants, but the thing that's unique about this one is salary. Seems like most of your other grants are always training or materials or...
Yep.
So
And then again, currently this year we're getting paid for some salary and some administrative stuff. Office supplies, some equipment that qualifies, stuff like that. We're not going to get paid for any office supplies or administrative or equipment next year. It's strictly salary. And they're cutting that by 50%.
I think your option's a good one.
I would entertain a motion for the chair to sign the state and local agreement with the understanding that if we don't accept anything, we don't necessarily have to participate.
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Hanson, second by Sutton to authorize the chair to sign the state and local agreement with the stipulations made. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And I apologize that I don't have more information. It's just, again, we're not getting the information.
You can only give
So-
us what you get.
Well, exactly. So, okay, thank you.
Thank
you.
Max, you have a copy?
I think it's in the packet. I
Okay.
don't have a full copy. Just
Okay.
the signature page, I believe.
I don't know if I do either with me.
I don't remember what was in the packet.
I'll just give you, let me make copies of it and I'll run it back up so that I keep a copy.
Yeah.
I'll do that real quick.
Congratulations on your wedding.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
I forgot to change on the cheat sheet from provisional to annual. So this is a replacement for that. This is area great.
Annual.
Yeah.
It's changed from annual, so the other one said provisional.
Oh, okay.
Okay, have we covered everything that we needed to cover on our...
I believe so.
Move adjournment.
Second.
Moved by Hanson, seconded by Christie to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.